Hi, it's Marielle, Mom and a Girl with Plans, and this is my first A Cherry on Top YouTube hop. And the theme for this month was to try something new. So I decided I was going to try some kind of stitching and threading on my scrapbook page. So first I used this at-home collection from Cartabella. I really loved the colors and I thought it would go really well with like kind of this stitching idea. And I got the titles and phrases and the ephemera so that I could use these pieces to just add on to my page. Using a kit like this makes it really easy to start and have everything match. Okay, so I also got some DMC threads, just some embroidery floss, and some other ones that I had. And I got this stencil from Brutus Monroe. This one I thought would be perfect for adding kind of a stitch look to my paper. It's a mixed media stencil. And if you look at it really closely, it kind of has the different patterns on there that you can see. And then it also shows kind of where the stitch lines go. And I really like this one that kind of has like X's. I thought that would be really simple and pretty for my page. I really loved all the colors and it was easy to find stuff that matched well. This is the paper I went with. I just really loved it and the pattern on the back. I always struggle when choosing paper because I always like both sides. Okay, anyway, I decided to go with this one because I loved all the colors and I chose some cardstock that went with it that I'm going to use to kind of map my photos. And I think I'm going to go with these two darker ones. And I printed my photos in black and white. I just really wanted kind of a just classic emphasis on it. And I'm going to mat them. And of course, I'm not going to leave it just plain. I decided for this one, I didn't want to mat it perfectly in the center. I wanted that bottom border to be thicker. Not like a Polaroid, but kind of, where it's a little bit thicker on the bottom. So I just kind of cut this one down a little so that I can position it in the middle, closer to the top, and have this thicker border on the bottom. So for this one, I'm kind of just eyeballing where I want that photo, and I'm going to use an exacto to cut a thin line just right on the edge there. And what I'm going to do is I've got that line there. I'm going to take some of the embroidery floss and just kind of wrap it around. I'm doing it 3 times and just kind of making bars in different colors just to add some texture to the page. All I'm doing is flipping it over and I'm using tape just to tape down those ends. It's going to be on the back. Doesn't matter. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of secure it there. Snip off that excess, and then I've got this fun little texture piece, and I put the photo back on. It almost kind of creates like a little frame for it. Now for this one, I'm going to do something similar, but I didn't want to do the exact same thing. So I've positioned the photo, and I'm using the X-Acto knife, again, to just kind of cut straight down right under the photo. And now I've got a little slice on the bottom. So I'm going to do something similar. I'm going to take the embroidery floss and just kind of put it through. I was trying to decide which direction to go. I'm going to do it from the top here. Make a little loop and then just pull through. Kind of making like just a little tassel, but not as like form. Just kind of some threads hanging down. And then I repeated that with a bunch of colors, and I didn't go in rainbow order this time. I just kind of just grabbed one and did it. Now I went ahead and made 2 knots, kind of like if I was making a friendship bracelet, just wrapping it around and pulling up. And then I did that on all of the colors. And I grabbed my photo back and just kind of place it right above that line. And we're done. I'll come back and cut these threads later. I just wanted to kind of leave them and decide what I'm going to do with them next. So now it's time for the template. And I again decided I was going to use those X's. I wanted it to go across the photo and onto the paper. So I went ahead and used some washi tape just to hold it down and got a paper piercer and just poked holes. It was a little tough when I have, 3 layers of mat there, but it worked out well. I went ahead and just poked the holes, pretty easy. It was definitely easier with just the cardstock. And now that I've got my holes in place, you can kind of see where that template's going to be. It's much easier to see on the back. I went ahead and started from the back, got my little dots and my little pattern, and just used a needle and some embroidery floss to go ahead and come up through the top, go over, and pull. It was pretty simple, and I'd never done this before again, and I think that's kind of part of it, just, experimenting and trying to see what works. This was actually much easier than I thought it would be. I think the template for sure helps. It keeps it looking nice and straight. And I just kept going along with the template, and I have my X's done. And I just really loved how it adds that texture and design to the page. So definitely going to be doing this again. I went ahead and cut off the embroidery floss and secured it with some tape so that it doesn't budge. And now we've got kind of just more of a textural look. I went and found this ephemera, which I thought was perfect. It said "Family's Everything." And then this cork tag that I had in my stash. I grabbed some sticker letters. And this just came to me as an idea. I was like, I'm going to add some more embroidery floss because I was having so much fun with it. So I decided to use this letter as a template because the shadings kind of look like stitch lines, and I decided I was going to use those and embroider over it. I don't love this sticker, like I don't really like the R, but I think this could really work. So I went ahead and just kind of poked holes at the top and the bottom of each line to kind of create that same pattern where I'll be stitching. Because if I was trying to stitch without poking the holes, I think I would really, it'd struggle. So I went ahead and used the embroidery floss and started kind of just sewing those lines. I don't know how to embroider. This is all new to me, so I think the main thing is just have fun. It doesn't have to be executed perfectly or a specific technique. This was just all about experimenting and having fun. Once I finished stitching all of my lines, it was ready, but I didn't, again, really love that R, so I grabbed some of the paper. I grabbed an extra sticker, and again, I'm going to use this one as a template. So I just kind of stuck it on the paper and started cutting out the letter R, and I'm cutting just the letter, getting rid of that shadow because my stitching is the shadow. And then I was a little nervous about peeling it off, but it came off perfectly. Thank goodness. And I now had a patterned R, which I could just stick over it. And then I realized I don't even want the sticker on there at all. So then it was time to remove that sticker. I used an exacto knife to kind of cut away and some tweezers to pull all of the little pieces out. Going forward, I would definitely not stitch with the sticker on. It would have made it a little bit easier, but that's all about learning, right? So I put my new R on and patted it down, and I really like how that came out. I used some raised dots for my ephemera just to give it some lift, and I could also tuck stuff behind it. I really like how this little cork piece has our family's initial and just kind of customizes it and makes this page complete. And now I grabbed the scissors, and it was time to give these threads a trim. So I went ahead and just decided to cut them straight across. Next, it was time to add some of the cardstock stickers from the kit. I really loved these flowers, and so I tucked it behind the ephemera and over my little cork, and I grabbed another flower kind of behind it, and just some cute phrases from the kit. I love how everything matches. It just makes it kind of easy and simple to create your page when you are using a kit like this. And I just found another one. I really loved what this one said and added some little dot flowers. Again, just going in and putting them. I love adding things in threes, so I had to add 3 of those dots on there. I fluffed and separated those little threads on the bottom, and my page was done. I had so much fun experimenting and trying something new, and it's definitely something that I will do going forward. I just love the texture and the feel it gave to the page. Be sure to check out the next video on the hop to see another new fun technique.